Good morning to the October Clergy Association meeting. So glad that we've got you here this morning. Every voice makes a difference. This meeting is what we all make it. So I'm going to now attempt to share my screen, and there we go. And just kind of rehearse why we exist, why we started this group. We exist, we're churches, and that's why we're a clergy. Churches serving in unity with community members, and that's a lot of you who are on here right now, and organizations to improve life in Lemon Grove through service and the power of God's love. And I really appreciate all of the agencies, city managers, city staff coming on, and IPS and all those that are involved in helping make Lemon Grove a better place to live. And we have over 30 churches in Lemon Grove. And when we were at our peak in person, we probably had about a third of those churches meeting with us and getting involved in cleanups, city cleanups, and different things. It's been quite a year and a half that we've had this. I don't know how the churches are doing. I'll just be honest. This is Clergy Appreciation Month, and I really don't feel like I have my finger on the pulse of how our churches are faring. I know a lot of pastors got beat up in this process. They couldn't do anything right. Masks, no masks, vaccinations, no vaccinations, and they kind of got beat up in the middle of all of it. So we might have some healing work to do on the other side of this pandemic when we start meeting in person. But I'm really glad that you're here this morning on Zoom, and we're grateful for this technology. So I'm going to start with a prayer, and then actually I'll pray after the welcome and introductions. So let's go ahead and go around, and I'll call out your name as to the order on my screen. Just share your name, your organization that you're with, and then let me know if you have some announcements that we can wrap back around, and I can share a flyer, or you can drop it in the chat room, your information. And if you have any prayer requests, we are a praying group, and we would love to pray for you, your family, your organization, whatever you're facing. And then additionally, number 4, which is not on here, if you would let me know that you would or wouldn't be able to make an in-person meeting next month, I'm leaning toward the patio, the outdoor patio of the Lemon Grove Cafe, which is right on Lemon Grove Avenue, right across from the trolley stop. So, okay, let me stop sharing, and we'll look at these wonderful faces. Looks like a couple more people have joined. Good morning, good morning. So since David was on first, his box is first on my screen. So David, you want to start with your introduction?
Technically, Joyce was first, but I'll go.
Was she? Oh, well, she's got her camera off, so she gets bumped down to the bottom of my order.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Shorey. I am the program manager for the Institute for Public Strategies. And I do have announcements. My prayer request is selfish in that I'm actually recovering from a breakthrough case of COVID. Yep. I'm doing okay. My symptoms were minor, although it did start to move into my chest. So I did do the antibody treatment. I have more information than you need, but if you do get a breakthrough case of COVID, know that you can get the antibody treatment from the county for free, and it works. So just, continued, healing and wellness. I am noticing that I am suffering a little bit of a brain fog. So if I start to say something and then I kind of stop and have to regroup, please bear with me. And then because I had a breakthrough case of COVID, I'm shall we say gun shy, I'm a little bit hesitant to meet in person, and I know that IPS is still encouraging folks to do as many online things as possible. However, if it's open air, I may still wear a mask. I was getting a little bit lackadaisical because I was like, oh, I'm vaccinated. But these things happen. So
Do you know, did you contact Trace? Do you know where you got it from?
there was a couple of opportunities. I know that my partner also was diagnosed with COVID, so it probably came from him. However, we both got it around the same time, so not sure if we were both exposed. And then there's some other community folks who we were interacting with who also tested positive, and so we're not sure who the
Got
person
it.
is. So
I'll put you down as a maybe, but outdoor, you would definitely push for outdoor. You might
Yeah.
come if, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll wrap back around for your announcements, David.
Great.
Thank you. And we will pray for your full recovery. My box is next on the screen. I'm Ann Stapleton. My husband and I pastor a church here in Lemon Grove, and we've been online in the outside for 3 months, in the building for 2 weeks, and then back online because of we had a breakthrough case where a handful of us were exposed. We decided for our elderly, it wasn't worth it. So we went back online just to be careful, because every single person in our congregation matters. And we just really didn't want to risk anybody getting it. So we are probably in the next 2 weeks going to go back in person with masks. That's our hope, because the rates have been dropping. We've been watching them carefully. I don't have any announcements unless there's something that somebody sent me that I need to put up on the screen. And I'd be glad to go back outside. I think I would feel comfortable outside, taking our masks off and eating together, because there's very few transmissions in an outdoor environment where there's a lot of ventilation and that kind of thing. So that's kind of where I stand on things. I'm not ready. I'll just be honest. I'm not ready to get back in the kitchen and cook for everybody and have everybody over a buffet and eating at small little table. I'm just not there yet. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So next up is Serafina. So do you want to unmute and introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Serafina Eberhardt. I'm with Institute for Public Strategies as a prevention specialist. I would say, as far as a meeting, I'm kind of with David on this, if my organization allows it, and I feel like I'd be most comfortable in an outdoor setting, but I still am a little hesitant about things.
Did you say you had an announcement?
No, my announcements are David's announcements.
David's announcement. All right. Thank you. I'm glad you're here this morning.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah, you're next up on my screen.
There I go. You can hear me now. I'm Sarah Lewis from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. My husband's actually the bishop and heads the congregation in Lemon Grove, so I'm pretty involved in that. I'm also on the board of the Historical Society, and I can kind of talk about our event last weekend. It turned out great, so we're really happy to talk about it. We had a great event, so I can share that later.
What about you? Are you ready to go back in person? I mean, would you come next month?
I'm comfortable with it. My time is a little bit tight because I started school full time, so I'm comfortable going back, but it's more of a time thing for me than anything else. Okay. I would love to if I have the time.
Got it. Okay. Thanks, Sarah. Okay. Mr. McAvoy. Am I saying right? McAvoy?
McAvoy, yeah.
McAvoy.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Glad to have you on.
Hey, Pat McAvoy, I'm the substation commander for the Lemon Grove Sheriff's Station. No announcements. Shanna is normally in these meetings. She's actually on her 2-week trip to Africa, which I'm very envious of. It's awesome. She's been planning this for over a year. So I'll tie into prayers, prayer for a safe journey for her and safe return. And they're doing all sorts of giraffe safaris and everything. So I'm very happy for her to get off the grid for a little bit and kind of reset priorities. The only other prayer request I would have is I'm part of for my church, I'm in a men's group that we meet every Monday, and one of the members of my group, he was actually pretty close to that UPS driver that was killed by the airplane crash. And the whole organization of UPS has taken this really hard. I mean, I had over 30 years in the organization and was an icon. He was a mentor to everybody. And a lot of the UPS employees in that, it's a very tight family there, are having difficulty with it. So just prayers for them to kind of overcome their grief and, work through this. So one of those things that makes you reset priorities in life, because we all are cognizant of car crashes and looking out. No one expects to get hit by an airplane. It's just horrible. So, and then last thing, I'm comfortable meeting in a public setting. I think the Grove Cafe is a perfect choice. They do have an outdoor patio that accommodates lots of people. So I'd be happy to meet everyone face to face. And I know I've seen David monthly at our cast meetings. I'd be great to meet, a lot of you for the first time face to face or over Zoom.
That'd be great. Yes, thank you. And I think a lot of people have been praying for that the family. He was just like less than a year away from retirement, and my heart just breaks for everybody that's involved in that, including the doctor who died. I mean, we still don't know exactly what happened. So, and speaking of the Lemon Grove Cafe, I did pop in there and ask about reserving the patio, and they don't reserve it, but I can call the morning of and say, hey, we've got 16 people coming or whatever. So, and she said that most likely, most people, especially right now, it's getting cooler, probably won't be taking up the patio, and we can use it then, reserve it the morning of. So, Roberta, you're next up on my screen. Do you want to unmute and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Roberta Bulling, and I'm a member of the Baha'i faith community here in Lemon Grove. And so I have to leave at 10, and then I might like to make a short announcement.
Okay, I'll have you go toward the beginning. Thank you, Roberta. And what about you? Are you open to meeting in person on an outdoor venue?
Well, after listening to David, I'm fully vaccinated, but I know there's a possibility I could have a breakthrough case as well. So I'm a little more hesitant about meeting in person.
So is that a maybe or a no?
It's a maybe. It's a maybe.
It's a maybe. Okay. Just so you know, because I have done, as much research as I can, and outdoors, it's really, really, really rare if you're outdoors unmasked to get it, as long as you're not packed in with thousands of people, but like if you're just outdoors, and sitting across the table from somebody unmasked, the chance of you getting it is just like minuscule. So I'm just telling you that.
Yeah, yes, I think.
And if we just entered from the outside and didn't even, have to go in, and mask, we can mask up entering. So I'm not trying to force you to go. I'm just wanted to let you know what I've.
No, I'd say yes then. I'll give it a yes.
Okay. Yeah, a hesitant yes. I've got a few of those. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Roberta. Okay, Billy, you're up next on my screen. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Billy Simmons from North Park Apostolic Church, and I would be willing to meet outside. I'm supposed to attend an event tomorrow where we'll be outside. So I tend to, if I feel, excuse me, if I feel like I am uncomfortable, I'll put my mask on. So it's no big deal.
Okay. Great. And did you have any announcements for us this morning?
No announcements.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Billy. Joyce. Good morning, Miss Joyce. And she ran away from us.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. It's so good to see everybody. And before I get started with anything, well, I'm Joyce Moore, and I'm here as a resident, a 30-year plus resident of Lemon Grove, and also representing Thrive Lemon Grove as well. And I do have announcements when we come back to that.
Okay.
And I'm okay with meeting outside. I'll probably have a mask on because I'm pretty germophobic. But I will take it off if I eat. Yeah. So I've had my third shot, the third
you got your booster.
vaccine. Yeah. And and I get vitamin injections. So I think I'll be okay.
Awesome. Well, that's good to know. I know I've seen you outside at the promenade, and when we're spaced out, we take our masks off because nobody likes wearing those things. But thank you for being safe and for educating people on COVID too. You're doing a good work there. Lydia Romero. Hi, Lydia.
Hi, everyone. I switched devices so I can get on camera. You can see me.
Oh, there she is. Yay.
Hi there. I'm Lydia Romero, as most of you know. I'm the city manager of the city of Lemon Grove. And I just have really 2 quick announcements of some events coming up that people might be interested in the next couple of weeks. And as you opened in your beginning, I've had some staff meetings actually out in the patio at the Lemon Grove Cafe. And we all had breakfast together because it's nice to sit and break bread, and it brings the tension down, and it makes everybody smile just a little bit. So I would be happy to meet out at that cafe.
Perfect. Yay. Thank you. And thank you
You're
for
welcome.
the idea. I think maybe you were the one that gave us the idea to do that out at Lemon Grove Cafe. Excellent. Okay, so I'll wrap back around to you. And Mike, good morning to you.
Good morning. Sorry I'm late. I was
No
in
problem.
another
So we're,
meeting.
in addition to introducing who you are and your agency, and if you have announcements, we're also chiming in on whether or not we would be comfortable meeting outdoors on the patio next month of Lemon Grove Cafe for a breakfast meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Mike Lavish with the Baha'i Faith, and I don't have any announcements today. I am open to meeting outdoors. I think that's great. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it. Unfortunately, I've got a Wednesday morning commitment for the next 2 months, and I can make it on Zoom, but don't let me hold you back. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. Glad to have you. Let's see, Farah, I think you're up next on my screen.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Farah, and I work for Full Stop, which is Families Uniting Locally to Solve Tobacco Proliferation. And we help churches and other faith-based organizations go smoke-free. I don't have any announcements, and I think we would be okay with in person. I say, yeah, it's a hesitant yes. I know a couple of people were like that too.
Exactly. Would it just be you, or do you have anyone else from Full Stop that would join you, do you think?
Usually my colleague, her name is Anya Kuzma. She usually attends as well. So I think she would want to attend.
Great. Okay. I'll be sure to let everybody know what we decide. Thank you so much. And Vivian, I think you're up next on my screen.
Yes, hello, my name is Vivian Hidalgo. I am a graduate student worker for the County of San Diego for the health promotion team for East and North Central regions of San Diego. And I work closely with Zach Hansen, as you guys may know him. And I do have one announcement, and I would be open to meeting outside.
Great. Thank you, Vivian. Okay, we'll wrap back around to you. And who's up next? Oh, Pastor Clarice, good to see you on this morning. If you want to
Good morning. How is everyone this morning? I'm so happy to be able to get back and to be in the meeting. I'm okay with meeting at the Lemon Grove Cafe. I just have one announcement. As many of you know, the great Pastor David Young God Cho went to be with the Lord last month. Pastor of hundreds of thousands congregation in Korea, and author of many, many books. And as a tribute, we have brought in multiple books of his, books on faith, books on the Holy Spirit, and they are in the store now. We are praying for Pastor Jeff, and we are working with Thrive, supporting Thrive, and I encourage everyone to support Thrive. And our church is back in the building with great distancing in Spring Valley. And so we are just going on in the name of the Lord.
Great. And as you know, Clarice manages the one of the few brick and mortar Christian bookstores in San Diego County. And it's right here in our little town of Lemon Grove. So thank you for what you do, Clarice. I know it's been a challenge through the pandemic, but we're really glad that you've stuck it out and have a lot of good resources. So if you can get your supplies, books, communion supplies, anointing oil, whatever, she's got a lot of things there, and they're really helpful. They engrave Bibles, they do a lot of things. So glad you're on, Clarice. It's good to have you here this month. And it would be great to see you in person for sure.
Okay, I'll figure out how to do that.
We'll keep you posted and give you a heads up notice. I think the last person on my screen is probably Susan on the phone calling in. Is that you, Susan?
Yes, Susan. Yes, Susan Farnsworth, Lemon Grove United Methodist Church, and I would be comfortable meeting outside.
Okay.
And I plan to attend that meeting. Thank you.
Great. And no announcements for you, Susan? I guess not.
No announcements.
Okay, great to have you. All right, let me open my chat room. Well, let me wrap back around. Oh, let me pray, and then I'll wrap around and I'll go to, I think Roberta has to leave first. So I'll go to Roberta and then start with David's announcements. So will you join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for the opportunity to gather. And we want to start off by just thanking you for healing Pastor Jeff. We've been praying for him through 12 chemo treatments and are so delighted and just rejoicing in our spirit that he has a chance at this, to beat this. And with you, we are victorious. So we thank you for healing him and hearing the prayers of your saints. And we pray that when the doctors go in, that there'll just be nothing there to remove at all. And that he will enjoy his trip in Hawaii next week and just really relax. And I thank you for all the pastors here that in Lemon Grove, and just pray for their churches as it is Clergy Appreciation Month. I pray that their congregations will appreciate them and celebrate them. Lord, I pray for David, our friend David here, who has a breakthrough case, is recovering from a breakthrough case of COVID. And I just thank you that it is mild because he's gotten the vaccines and he's gotten the treatments. And I just pray that it will be full recovery, healing of his lungs, and no residual effects of COVID in his body. And I also pray for the families of all those that were devastated by the plane that crashed in Santee recently. Father, I pray for the family of the UPS driver, all those that are affected, his coworkers. I pray for the 2 elderly people that have 3rd-degree burns and are in the hospital right now, and the neighborhood that's just devastated by this. The young couple that just bought their house 5 months ago and everything's lost now. But thankfully they have their lives. And we do pray for the family of the doctor, of the pilot whose plane crashed, and for the one person that was the other people that were also affected by the crash. And Father, we give and submit all this into your perfect will. We don't understand how these things work, but we do ask that you be with them in the midst of this trial. And Lord, I also pray for all the many that are grieving the death of Pastor David Yongyi Cho. And he was a great leader in many regards, and led so many people in church leadership and led them to know you. So we pray for all of his congregants and the rest. And Lord, all the unspoken prayer requests that are here this morning, we lift them up to you and pray for unity in our city. We pray for protection and covering over our first responders and our city staff. And we ask a blessing on this meeting in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we'll start with Roberta. Roberta, you go ahead and make your announcement real quick. And then I don't know if you and Sarah are going to be sharing about the same thing, but if Sarah wants to go on, kind of go with you in tandem about your event last weekend, which unfortunately I was not able to go to, but sure would love to hear about that. So go ahead, Roberta. You have to unmute first.
Thank you. Well, this has been a year of centenaries. I also belong to the Seroptimist Club, which is a women's club. They just celebrated their 100th anniversary of providing scholarships for women that are the sole supporters of their family or parents or siblings that are trying to further their educations. We provide scholarships. And also the Baha'i Faith is coming up on an important centenary for us, and that's the passing of Abdul Baha, who was the eldest son of the founder of our faith, Baha'u'llah. And so we will be inviting people to join us probably on Zoom for the centenary of a person who spent his life promoting the oneness of the human family, that always was insisting that we all be together at meetings. And this was 1912 in Washington, D.C., where he swept away convention by at a luncheon when he said, "Where is Mr. Gregory?" Louis Gregory was an African-American lawyer who was friends of Abdul Baha, and he was leaving the building knowing that he probably wouldn't be invited to sit down. But Abdul Baha swept away a place setting and called Mr. Gregory to sit at his right hand during that luncheon. Swept away convention, always insisted that we be together because we are one human family. So, and I'm happy to let Sarah toot our horn. It was a wonderful event, and she can tell you how great it was. Thank you very much.
Do you want me to talk now? Okay. So we had a great event last weekend. I know some of you attended. Lydia was able to attend, which was great. And I saw Joyce Moore there, which was fabulous. Hope you've noticed the new park signs at Treganza Heritage Park. We have brand new signs that were unveiled on Saturday morning. We had a fun open house. Friday night was actually a great lecture. We had a double header out in the patio, really well attended, really interesting History Alive lecture. Then Saturday we had the dedication. We had a special exhibit in the Lee House, which I designed, showing some of our archives, which have never been shown before. So that was really fun. I actually researched the women's club. It was called the Forward Club in Lemon Grove. And the clubhouse, which is on the campus of the Baptist Church, it's that small building in the parking lot. That was a women's club, Forward Club clubhouse. And the first meeting in that clubhouse was May of 1922. So next May, it's 100 years old. So I learned that going through the archives, which was pretty cool. The Forward Club became the Seroptimist Club in the 50s. It kind of transitioned. So, and it started in, I think, 1912. The Women's Club actually planted a bunch of trees in the 19-teens. That's what their history said. They planted trees and studied literature together. So the archive exhibit was great. We had a great gala. Lydia was able to come with the mayor and the husband. The mayor's husband came, and we had some other city council people. We had about 30 or 40 Treganza descendants for the whole weekend. They traveled like from New York and Atlanta and all over the place, and they had a great time. They really loved the event. So it was a great event. The gala was great. We had a silent auction. A lot of local businesses donated, which we really appreciated. So all in all, it was really great. And we just, we need the funds to preserve those buildings. There's so much work that needs to be done in those buildings. And we really have a shoestring budget. We have, no employees. A lot of historical societies have part-time employees. We have no paid employees. It's all volunteer. So we can kind of use all the help we can get. So thank you for those who came in to support it. And I have some pictures of, especially my archive exhibit. I was really happy how that turned out. So that was how, that was our event. And I'm really glad it's over. We all need a rest. Our board is small and we worked really hard.
Yes, and thank you to you and Roberta and all those who just volunteer your time to make a difference in our little city. We really appreciate that. Are you posting those pictures somewhere?
I can. Can I post them on, I think I'm a friends on the Facebook page. Can I post on there?
Yeah, on the clergy page.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I have a few pictures. We had a photographer there. I have yet to get those pictures. And actually the city person came and took some pictures. So I need to get some pictures from her still too.
Perfect. Great. I'm so glad that it went well. That's excellent. All right, David, I think you're up next with the announcements. So go ahead and share.
Yes. So I put in the chat link to a flyer for an event that's happening this evening at 6:30 p.m. virtually. It is a not only a workshop about fentanyl and opioids, which I know all of you have heard me talk about numerous times, but there's also an opportunity, there will be a training on the use of naloxone or Narcan, which is the opioid inhibitor that if you come across an individual or for whatever reason you yourself experience an overdose event and you're able to administer it to yourself, it will inhibit that overdose to allow for first responders to give aid and to transport you to a location where you can receive additional medical care. At this point, as we've said, naloxone should be something that everyone has because of the fact of the impact that both fentanyl, the opioid, as well as other opioids are having, or have had, are having, and will have on our communities. So it's a free training. It's virtual. We're partnering with NAMI and A New Path, and they're going to be talking as well. So we're breaking it up. We're kind of giving the data about the opioid impact, a little bit about some of the ways that folks can address that. NAMI is going to be talking about the connection between mental health, substance use disorders, and then A New Path and NAMI will be doing the training. So, and then we'll be setting up an opportunity for folks to receive a free dose of Narcan to carry with them or have available. So that is my first announcement. If you need more additional information about that, let me know and I can either contact you directly or put more information in the chat.
It's a registration, right? You have to register to
You
attend.
do have to register. The
link, I think, is on the flyer.
It is in the flyer. Serafina, would you mind putting that link in the chat for me? And then the other thing is that so IPS is really emphasizing the re-emphasizing the fact that we provide free of charge to community groups, organizations, assessment opportunities for the impact of alcohol retailers, legal cannabis retailers, also in the potentiality of those. We will go out and do an environmental assessment on those areas. And so we're happy to work with all groups and entities on those kinds of assessments. We know that there are, it's a changing landscape out there, given how COVID has affected both the consumption of alcohol at restaurants and bars, as well as, people increase in drinking at liquor stores and corner markets and things like that. So I'll be having some meetings here in the future. Lieutenant McAvoy and I will be meeting with after Shanna gets back from Africa. I'm so jealous of her. and I know the city manager and I will be talking as well. So that's something we wanted to just keep on out there. And as always, if there is information, training about drugs and alcohol that you feel would be helpful for your congregation, whether it be marijuana, methamphetamine, alcohol, or prescription drugs, we're happy to do that in whatever format is best for you. We're a little, like I said, because of COVID, we are trying to emphasize the virtual trainings, but if you feel like it'd be best to do an in-person training, let me know and we can see what we can work out for you.
Great, thank you, David. Yeah, I just heard on the news last night that DUIs have gone up dramatically this year.
Yep.
I mean, and
Yes, they
Lieutenant, I did not write down that you had an announcement, but I don't want to skip you. Did you have an announcement or anything you want to share about crime or anything in Lemon Grove or?
No, I mean, just the DUIs are a real hot topic. And unfortunately, I see it getting worse before it gets better, just because a lot of it has to do with decriminalization of a lot of the drugs. So it's more, it's a more prevalent practice now, and people don't consider it when they're driving. So it's just hopefully as the pandemic resolves and people aren't, I mean, the DA's office report right now is that the blood alcohol concentration for DUI arrestees right now is double what it used to be for most arrestees. We recently had a case where we had a DUI driver that blew a 0.321%, which for most people that's blackout drunk or, you know, alcohol poisoning drunk, and they're out there functioning. So just scary. And we've seen an uptick here. We've seen it, you know, just regionally, and we're getting DUI arrests at 11 a.m. now and 2 p.m. and we've not had that before. So we're dealing with it and just trying to be as proactive as we can and getting those drivers off the road. We're just encouraging everyone to call in if they see someone driving erratically, give us a call so we can stop them and prevent them from hurting somebody else.
Absolutely.
Just to
Yeah.
follow up on
Go ahead.
what the lieutenant was saying, that so the state just approved a law extending the to-go alcohol opportunities that were allowed during COVID. So there's some public policy things that are happening that, you know, we at IPS are not abolitionists. We're not against alcohol. We're not against, you know, legal cannabis, etc. But, you know, when you create situations where it encourages folks to have alcohol in situations which normally would not be helpful, it creates an impact on both law enforcement, you know, first responders, as well as the overall community. So, yeah.
Joyce, did you have a comment on?
I have a question for the lieutenant, please.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Sometimes I have to follow you because the
Everybody
faces move
moves around.
around. Sorry. So I'm wondering if that recently last week, we had a terrible experience with drag racing in our community. And I'm wondering if you have any information on that, or are you guys seeing that is happening? Is that go along with, you know, the increase in alcohol? People are doing that during midnight hours. So they would drag race, and Roberta is off. She probably could talk more. She's my neighbor. And I think several of she's a neighborhood watch captain as well. So several of them called it in, and they were able to apprehend 2 of them because one of the drag races, they crashed. And so we hearing a lot, even on my street, around about 12, you know, they're starting the engines up and what have you, which makes me very uncomfortable. You know, they're waiting till midnight to get started. So I didn't know if that was, if you had any information, and these people are under the influence of alcohol.
In my experience, it's kind of a mixture. A lot of times the drivers are simply just racing, and the spectators are partaking in, you know, alcohol and, you know, some recreational marijuana use. But a lot of times the drivers are just there to drive and race and whatnot. But what night was the crash? Because I can look into it. I haven't followed up on that to see if I can follow up to see if the crash may have drugs or alcohol were a factor. Do you know what evening that was where you had that?
I will go back through my emails because she
Okay.
sent an email out the next morning. And
Yeah,
get
if
that
you can send that
information
to me, and I'll follow up on it. But we've seen an uptick regionally in the drag racing, and I think a lot of it is idle time for some individuals. So people are looking for things to do and going out
at midnight.
So, yep, yeah, it's
Oh.
all hours, because a lot of times when they do the racing, they like to do it later because there's less traffic on the road, so they can go for longer stretches. And obviously that has a huge impact on the whole community and public safety, and, you know, even people that, you know, walk their dogs late at night to use the bathroom. It creates a huge public hazard, but it's not uncommon for the racing to be late in the night only for that reason. So because you can't really drag race down Skyline or Broadway at 2 p.m. because traffic won't allow it. So they want long stretches of roadway where they can, you know, disrupt several blocks of people trying to sleep. So, and I appreciate you calling that. We do get a lot of complaints of it, but I usually get, at my level, I usually get the complaint a day or 2 later. So we do, yeah, keep doing proactive reporting is how we catch them. And Those are hefty fines and vehicle impounds, and it sends a message when we can contact and arrest these people for, for the reckless driving and the, exhibitions of speed, because it's definitely a nuisance. I mean, you can hear it for over a mile away when they're racing some of these engines.
Thank you, Joyce.
I have a question for the lieutenant.
Go
Yes.
ahead, Kelly.
We've had issues with the homeless being around the church at night. I've even found someone that had been beat up at our doorstep. But recently in the daytime, we're finding homeless people coming, and there's an alcove by my window. And I just happened to open up the window and I saw a gentleman naked using the bathroom. So have there been a lot of instances of homeless people coming around different buildings and using their cover, to do the things they do? I wasn't upset with it. I talked to the gentleman and he did leave, but it's kind of weird sometimes when we're here at night and we don't really know what to do.
So yes, there has been an increase in homelessness statewide, and a lot of it is there's a whole broad spectrum and a variety of reasons. We're obviously having a huge mental health crisis. There's not as many mental health services as there were years back, and unfortunately, a lot of this does have to do, and just to get on a large scale, we, due to the pandemic, the entities at the state level opted to reduce the prison and jail population by over 50%. So we reduced a lot of people in prison to prevent a COVID outbreak inside our prisons and jails. But releasing that many individuals in the middle of a pandemic with high unemployment rates, there's nowhere for them to go. And that had that contributed largely to the surge in homelessness you see. A lot of it's just, we're seeing criminal justice realignment occurring on our streets, and that's what it's going to look like. So there, and it's, lack of housing, lack of homeless shelters, and lack of a lot of public facilities for them to do it. They're going to go somewhere where they can hide and try and be out of the public eyesight, but it ends up being on your back porch or in the alleyways. And it's a huge problem because we're doing everything we can to it's not criminal to be homeless, but
Right.
It's some of the behavior that follows it with some of the individuals. And it's like anything, some of them are truly down and out and trying to get themselves off the streets. And those are the people we're trying to target with our Home Start program to give them the resources to get them back up on their feet and back integrated into being productive members of society. A lot of them, though, are they're severe substance abuse issues, severe mental health issues, and some of them simply just don't want the help that we're offering them. And it's a daily struggle for us, just like it's a daily struggle for the community. And the only thing we can say is, what I'll recommend is, if you see criminal behavior and public urination, public defecation, public nudity is still not legal. That's when we appreciate you call to report it in, so we can at least put them on our map. And sometimes when the deputies show up, we can offer resources. And if we even get one success story, then that's great. If we can get 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 100 off the street, that's one individual that we've helped to move towards right direction. But it starts with reporting.
And, the gentleman was very cooperative, so that wasn't an issue. But you mentioned a Home Start program?
Yeah, and I think Lydia has her hand up. She might be able to elaborate more on it.
All right,
That's
thank
one of
you.
our programs.
Yeah, just as we're talking about Home Start, first off, if any of you find unsheltered individuals at your church or by a location, email me or Mike James. I think most of you have my email. Just email me. It doesn't matter time, day or night. We pass on those locations to our Home Start nonprofit group, which does the homeless outreach. And that homeless outreach actually happens at various times. So it's not just an 8 to 5 or 8 to 8 to 3. They do go out at night. They do go out in the early morning hours. They do go out in the afternoon. So giving them the locations is a really help, so they can start talking to the individuals and building a rapport, getting them into there's a county-wide system that homeless individuals are added to, and then it also tags them of what services they were given. Do they need mental health services? Were they given vouchers? So Home Start works collaboratively within the region. Home Start also works with the city of El Cajon and the city of La Mesa, and the city of Santee, because we understand that our homeless is transient, especially in North County. And the fact that we've got a trolley in all 4 of our cities, that really does create a good transportation system for individuals to go from one town to the next town. So we're trying to work collaboratively together. And so Home Start is a nonprofit that the city has hired about a year ago. We're using grant money to pay for Home Start. They both do hand-to-hand personal outreach efforts with homeless individuals. They usually touch them multiple times a week, meaning they talk to them, try to get them into services, and trying to get them some additional help. If they see if there's a mental health crisis, they'll call a mental health crisis team. And this is specialized work that they're trained to do. We've had some successes where we've really been able to get folks into hotel vouchers and into mental health help. We've had reuniting of family members. But it's, as most of you know, because all of you are in ministry, it is a very intensive one-on-one, individually prescribed solution. It's not a one-size-fits-all. And unfortunately, people want a real quick answer and a real quick response, because seeing unsheltered individuals makes everybody feel a little uncomfortable. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. This really is very intensive work. Most of the homeless individuals that most of you see, especially in the downtown corridor, Home Start has talked to, and has talked to multiple times. There are several individuals that like to hang out at churches, especially on the corridor, and they've had multiple conversations, and there's just no desire for them to get off the street. They're very comfortable of where they're at. And all of you know that the laws prevent us from forcibly moving somebody off the street unless they're a danger to themselves. And we have to live within the parameters of the law. There was also another court case that really prevents us from actually, on public property at least, moving individuals if they so if they're there and they're not disturbing the peace and they're not doing any illegal behavior. And that's called the Boise case, and it's out of the 9th Circuit Court. And unless you have a shelter available, and it has to be a low barrier shelter, which means it has no requirements of being clean, it allows pets and animals, it is not faith-based. If we don't have a shelter in place, these homeless individuals can go, we cannot enforce any laws, any anti-camping laws, any other type of laws that we can enforce with everybody else. So, for example, and I've had this conversation with the lieutenant, we have no one in the park after dark unless you have a permit. So we're trying to make sure that we stay consistent in that enforcement. And that includes some of the unsheltered individuals that tend to congregate at the park at night. So we're doing everything that we can within the limitations that we have and the parameters that we have. I wish there were better answers. And I wish I can say I have a magic wand and we can get all the unsheltered individuals into housing and get the help that they need, but it's really dependent on them. Again, those that really want help really reach out and get the help as soon as they want, as soon as they can, but it's taken a long time for individuals to do that. So, and we're trying to do it in a very respectful manner,
Right.
as well.
Well, that's what I think we should do anyway. And I was I'm always careful how I speak to people because, you know, they at times they just are in this situation. So I just wanted to see, I think what we need to do is to be more proactive and maybe protect certain areas around the church so that, you know, nothing is accessible. Because our neighbors up on the hill, they still can't see anybody because of how low we are. So they can't even respond to the police if, you know, something happens. So I appreciate your input and I thank you for all that you're doing because it is something that we all have to deal with in a very proactive and respectful way.
Thank you, Billy.
I
And
think, and I would just add to that, I think that the lieutenant would encourage you to get in contact with the crime prevention specialist. They have a program called CPTED, which is Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design, which the crime prevention specialist will come out and do an evaluation of your church site to give recommendations for, you know, bushes to trim, you know, visibility, other aspects of crime prevention that would perhaps hide some of those or would get rid of some of those hiding spaces, or at least make things more visible both to law enforcement and to your congregants.
Thank you, David.
thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Lieutenant. Joyce, you had your hand up for a little bit. Did you want to add to this conversation?
Yes, I did. And as the lieutenant and Lydia were talking, I was thinking this would be worth a community conversation because there is so much misinformation regarding homeless, and it puts an extra burden. I've listened to the city council meetings and I've looked at various comments online on Facebook and what have you. So there's so much misinformation. And I like that Lydia said she doesn't have a magic wand. Law enforcement don't have a magic wand. It is, I would even say, if it's a community problem, it's not a law enforcement problem. It's all of our problems. And thank you, David, for sharing about CPTED. Because we did that on 2nd Street in El Cajon and asked some of the business to get rid of some of the shrubberies that they had. They put some shrubberies that were uncomfortable for them to even, you know, be hanging out there, lighting. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, and along with prayer and everybody working together as a unit. But it's not just one person problem. And people seem to think that it's a law enforcement problem, which it isn't. And I was surprised to hear how much has been added since I was where David was and working with law enforcement, and to seeing that there are new laws out there to really protect them. And we have to remember that they are people as well.
That's right. Thank you, Joyce. And I just wanted to, Clarice had to go. She had her hand up as well. But I texted her and she said that she's seen the same thing at her place, which is right across. It's very close to North Park Apostolic. People are sitting and sleeping on the sidewalk directly under the staircase right there over by 7-Eleven and in that little plaza. So she just wanted me to pass that on. So I think we've all seen it. You know, I've been out in the morning picking up trash and I see people sleeping in all kinds of different places, and they are people, and we try to treat them with respect and also help them get services, but you can't force them to get services, unfortunately. So it is something we will always be dealing with, and praying for our city and our first responders, because they take the brunt of it and the heat from the people in the community who don't want to see, you know, they just want it to be done and pushed away and gone. And they're part of our community, and you know, they just are. So I think, Lydia, do you want to go ahead and make your announcement?
Yeah, and I just want to add one last thing, and then I'll go into the announcements on the homeless. For those of you that are out in actually, you know, ministering to the homeless or even discussing to those folks that are unsheltered, we've been seeing an uptick in myself, Mike James, the assistant city manager, who really is my homeless czar, and the lieutenant and our Home Start leadership are seeing an uptick of people posting the homeless individuals up on Facebook and making them look more like we're calling them circus animals, and exploiting their vulnerabilities by showing them in compromising positions. And if you can just make sure that you take great care into sharing that these individuals, although they might have their pants half down, please don't take a photo of them, post it on Facebook or Instagram. Let's give these individuals some dignity, and let's not treat them as though they're, in a zoo or circus animals. Because if we don't treat them with dignity, how are they expected to get dignity on, as a community and as a society? So it starts with us. My announcements on a happier note. I sent Ann two flyers. One is for, let me pull it up. Unfortunately, I am a techno novice, and I don't know how to do any of this stuff. But one is for our coming up this Saturday is our bulk item drop off. So for those of you that want to get rid of mattresses and couches and any big, large item, just show your ID that you're a Lemon Grove resident. It'll start at, I believe, 8 a.m. On Main Street. Drop it off for free, and you get 2 trips. So pack up your truck, pack up your car, get rid of your stuff, and then we'll take it for free, and it costs you nothing. EDCO is also sponsoring e-waste collection. So if you have old computers or cell phones or anything that you want to get rid of, that will happen as well. And if you have large boxes of financial documents or sensitive documents you want shredded, bring those documents. Again, that will happen at pretty much co-locating all of these e-waste events at around Treganza Park. And that's Saturday from 8 to 2. And then the last thing is there's been a lot of conversation, and it sort of started with the DUI about streets. And so the city, hi kitty, the city is sponsoring a workshop on Saturday, October 23rd. And we're going to have a discussion of streets, and it's a really big program. And so we're just going to really give some highlights and understand what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis as we're looking at streets. So we're going to start off very elementary. Is how do we evaluate a street? How does a street get on the list to get paved or not get paved? What is our data-driven pavement management plan? What does that look like? And then we're going to actually do a little field trip on Schoolhouse Way up to Golden to find out what the street looks like and to see the different configurations. What is alligatoring? What is a pothole? What is slurry opposed to a mill and fill? And then we're going to come back and then have a discussion on what we call looking at our streets and refocusing streets instead of being car-centric to be people-centric. And what does that look like? And how do we have this discussion about a complete street and making the street compatible and safer for those that walk and those that bike? I really want to focus on solutions opposed to problems. We know that there's problems. We know we drive fast. We know people drive erratically. We know people are on their phones. But we're trying to focus it on solutions, and complete streets is a solution because it really focuses a street, a residential street, a collector street, on how we can make the uses compatible and how we can take the focus off on cars and put the focus back on people. And so that we're going to start that discussion. It'll be a lot of discussion about background and history. And we wanted to take the streets workshop to begin the discussion about complete streets and get the community and city community and council understanding where we want to go as a solution based, opposed to just sitting there and telling us we have problems all over the place. We take care of 98 lane miles of street in Lemon Grove, and we are acutely aware of all of the local neighborhood issues, either from potholes or street crumbling to people being unsafe and being unkind when they're on the road. So that's what we're going to do. And that discussion will actually go into a bigger workshop probably later in the year after we get some initial feedback and discussion on complete streets. And in there really is a new concept, at least for this community, is looking at roundabouts. Roundabouts are a probably more effective way of calming streets on some of our collectors, which tends to be like Madera is a collector street. Central Avenue is a collector street. Skyline or Palm are collector streets. That tends to be a good tool to transition from, say, a neighborhood street where they're getting all the traffic to push onto the arterials into true neighborhood streets. So how do we transition those streets? So it's going to be a big discussion. We're going to try and get it done in. Although the flyer says 9 to 11, I think we're realistic to know we'll probably be there till about noon. It will be in person and it will be at the community center. So anybody that does attend will be required to wear a mask. So we're hoping to get a lot of folks there to listen to what we have to say.
Awesome.
And that is the conclusion of my events. And I have to say the Treganza Extravaganza event was just fantastic. And I hope the Historical Society thinks about doing an annual fundraising dinner every year. I think it was a good success. It was nice to bring everybody together, and hopefully you guys made a little bit of money to help care for both old houses.
Awesome. Thank you, Lydia. We'll go to Vivian real quick, and then I think Joyce will close us out. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand, David. Go ahead.
As part of that street presentation, I know that the city just did its environmental justice component for the general plan, or is in process, or so part of the aspect of environmental justice is having recognition of the fact that, walkability, pollution, all those kinds of things that have an impact on communities. So when folks think, oh, it's just streets, it's just, traffic, it actually expands from a public health perspective very far and very wide in the impact of the community. So if folks are like, I don't want to go see that because it's just tell them it directly affects your health on a daily basis, how streets operate. So, and then a quick question, Lydia, I know that a few months ago, or maybe it was half a year ago, I can't remember, the yard got broken into. Did they ever catch someone, or did that get worked out?
So it's still under investigation, and it probably was 3 months ago, David. So thank you for remembering. And just as we got all of the new equipment and all of the stuff, except for the radios, which were on back order, we got broken in again. Literally 2 weeks after our initial break-in, we got brand new laptops, brand new handheld devices. They broke in again and smashed doors and cars. So the investigation is ongoing. We don't know if it was the same person or not the same person, but there is a description there is a photo of the perpetrator. We just don't know. It's really hard to ID him, and I haven't heard anything further on the investigation, and I know I bug the lieutenant all the time about it. So yeah. Unfortunately, we're a sitting duck, and I think one of the important things that the council did is allow us to build a better wall so we can have some more protection. And our insurance company helped us pay for actual alarm security in the building now, which we didn't have before. We didn't need it, but now we do. So we have alarm security, and we do have some more active cameras on the site on that one. And we're working with the school district because of the way they accessed our site was through, they broke into the school district site, but then broke into our site and didn't touch the school district site. So quite interesting. Yes.
Did they take keys the second time? Because I know you had a key.
Yeah, they took keys. They took keys to the buildings. Yes. They took keys to the buildings. They took, although we didn't have to rekey it because they only took certain keys.
Okay.
They took keys for cars again, and those are really expensive to replace. If you guys ever had to replace a key to a vehicle, and trashed some of the offices. It's just, they were looking for something very quick to sell on the market, and I think, help with their habit.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's somebody who was really desperate and needed some quick cash. So
So
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. And then one last thing on the street workshop, and back to what David is saying, is yes, it is a social justice issue. But we're also going to start trying to introduce the concept of Vision Zero with the city council to see if that is something that they want us to continue to pursue and move forward with, because Vision Zero aligns with complete streets. And again, refocusing the compatibility of a pathway for human focused opposed to car focused.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Lydia. David. Okay, Vivian, do you want to make your announcement real quick?
Yes, I wanted to announce the 2021 Live Well Advance. The event will be 2.5 days from November 17th and the 18th. The session topics will be related to economic recovery, equity and social justice, partner collaboration, and environmental action, workplace wellness, and public health. I will send the link in the chat right now.
Great.
Yeah, and that is it.
Thank you. Appreciate
you.
that. Joyce, I think you're the last one with announcements. I'm going to close this out.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you to Lydia and her entire team for all the hard work that they do. Amazing work, thankless job. But I continually to pray your strength and that you all are strengthened in all that you guys do, and just stay focused and set your eyes like a flint. And thank Lieutenant Patton and his team for all the hard work they do, and Anne, who is referred to and marked as the salt of the earth by Dr. George. I just want to thank all of you guys for all of your hard work and all the in your different capacities. I just want to talk about the second Sunday briefly. It is happening in the promenade, and my goal was not to have a big gathering. I wanted to watch the numbers and to see what our numbers were before we start inviting a lot of people out, but be able to be there and to live stream it. And I have to say that it's going well, and it's an atmosphere changer. The atmosphere is just really uplifting, and just watching people as they come through and worship however they worship. We don't say anything. They just have the freedom just to come through, stop if they do a praise dance, if they just wave their hands, or however, if they know the songs they sing. It's amazing to watch people coming off of the trolley as well. It's just a good fit. And thank you so much, Lydia and your team. So, but we are going to step it up in November, because we were just talking while we were there. It will not only be joyful sounds, but it will be focusing on thankfulness. And we thought that's appropriate, being that we've been in this pandemic for almost 2 years, and the pandemic has brought so many different things to so many different families. And for us that's here, we want to say, just be thankful for that. So some pastors will be coming out and they will be praying. There will be spoken word. There will be live entertainment, and we're just grateful that we all are still here, and we'll be lifting up and thinking about those families who have been so desperately impacted by the pandemic. So if you want to come out, bring your chair. I'm not hoping for 1,000 people, maybe 50 at the most or less, and I will be able to live stream it without being interrupted, because Facebook only allow you to live stream somebody else's music so long before you get that message. We're gonna kick you off, or we're gonna mute you. So it just give us more liberty to live stream. So it's gonna be good. The food distribution is happening this Saturday. Please share the word. I am just very happy to announce that one of Thrive's partners is coming alongside of us, beside us. And I haven't had this experience since I've been here, and I've been here for over 30 years. Brother Alton is bringing 200 pairs of new shoes for children. And so it's first come, first serve. Also, they are going to be given 150 food baskets. That's in addition to what we are doing. So I'm just really grateful, and I'm really thankful for people just observing, you know, what Thrive is doing out in the community and saying, I want to come beside you and help you, partner with you, because I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate your community, and I want to work in your community as well. So that's going to be happening Saturday. Also in November, we're going to be giving 150 turkeys. Able to do this because we zeroed out the grant from the San Diego Food Bank, and Lydia and Mike sent me an email regarding to SDG&E, reaching out to them. And it was a really quick turnaround. And we got that grant in and turned it around in a week and a half. They approved it actually 2 days after we turned it in. And they brought me the check. I was overwhelmed. They brought me the check to where I was doing a community event last Wednesday. Called me up and said, where are you? I want to bring you the check. And I was just overjoyed. I've never had that experience before. So I'm just really thankful. And I just feel that God has really favored Lemon Grove, and I'm really excited about that. So that's going to be happening. Please share the flyer. It is for Lemon Grove residents. So I'm hoping that the parents come out and get those shoes for their children. And this is going to lead us to even greater things with partnerships coming back to do more. So there are other partners, but I just didn't have the space or the time to get everything approved. But there are other things that's coming down the line for our community. I'm really excited about that. And I think, well, just one more thing. Our contract for the community health workers with the COVID-19, it's ending in December. We'll be doing some other work. So we are doing a major push to get information out to the community, encouraging individuals to get vaccinated. One thing I think that I did not know, and I learned through doing this work, how smart viruses are. So the virus is smarter than us. So those people who are not vaccinated are actually a part of the reason why the pandemic, the variances are continuing, because they look to find those places where people are not vaccinated. And so we have a lot of information about the facts and the myths. We have PPEs, and the next grant that we get, we'll have more PPEs. And so I'm really pushing, and I'm asking you all to help me to get the information out. If you're a congregation, I have packets that I make. It has PPEs in it. It has information in what's in the vaccine. A lot of people concerned about that, the myths and facts. And so I can get that over to you. So please just reach out to me and let me know how many you need, and I will pack that up and get that over to you. Thank you, everyone, for all that you do.
Joyce and
What I
I,
wanted to say, the Speak Well training went well.
yes.
We would hope to have more people on, but we'll be doing it again. That's a training that I think everyone can benefit from. I hear a lot of people on at the city council meetings. I really wish they would attend those trainings so they can learn how to present themselves appropriately, and where it's, we are respecting one another. Respect is a big word. And so thank you, David, and your team, and we look to do it again.
And I just want to say thank you to Joyce for all you do. You are out in front making a difference, and you're always applauding other people, but I want to applaud you. So, and thank you for that training. I do wish we'd had, it should be a required class before you get and speak at a council meeting. And I just want to mention one last thing before we close out, and that is, I've been going out in the morning, picking up trash at 6:30 a.m. and just walking the streets of our city. And it's just been such a blessing. If any of you have time in the morning and just want to help pick up trash, there's a group of people that are out there every day picking up trash. And it's been a real gift to be out and seeing our city in the morning and just hitting the streets. So come join us if you want to. We meet kind of by the Lemon. I'm out there at least once a week, not twice a week, just picking up trash and getting it in touch with, seeing unsheltered people and trying to help them get services and different things. So praying for them and praying for our city while I'm out there. So there's lots of opportunities to serve. Oh yeah, Joyce, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I forgot to mention, this is really exciting. Most of you all know that Jennifer works nonstop. I think she works in her sleep, but Thrive has been selected as an organization along with the city of Lemon Grove to be the benefactors of military volunteers for the next 6 weeks and probably on. So I'm really excited about that because Jennifer has been getting people to go up and pick up that food from the food bank and then coming back to unload it. Well, this Friday, thanks to one of my board members, her husband is a Navy chief, and he came out and saw what we was doing, and he wanted to say, you know, how can my command help you? So he went to his command and they selected us. So we'll have 2 military trucks going up on Friday. Jennifer don't have to go up, but she's going up so she can help me. She don't have to load her truck up. Joe doesn't have to load his truck up, and somebody else don't have to load their truck up. And the truck, those trucks have lifts on them. So
Nice.
6 people going up, and they're gonna come back and they're gonna help unload that. Then 5 of those people would be there on Friday evening to pack. And then some of them will be there on Saturday morning as well. So I'm very excited about that. And they do have to be vaccinated and be COVID free. So thank you so very much. I just wanted to share that with you guys.
That's awesome. They'll probably pack food like we've never seen it packed before. Quickly and efficiently. Well, I think that's it. And it's 10:36. So thank you so much for hanging on to the end. Good stuff. I hope that as you go through the city, you just say a little prayer for everyone that makes it run like it does. And we take pride in our city, and we love Lemon Grove. So thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful week. Next month, we got yeses out of everybody, even though some were hesitant. So I'm just going to say, let's go ahead and try it. Let's do it next month on the patio of Lemon Grove Cafe. And hopefully we'll be able to hear. We won't be able to show flyers and things, but you can bring printed flyers, kill a tree, right? And we can also send out things afterwards. So
Do you want to do a closing prayer?
Yeah, would you like to, David? That'd be great.
Okay. I'm going to read a prayer from poet and priest John O'Donohue, and it's called A Morning Offering. I bless the night that nourished my heart to set the ghosts of longing free into the flow and figure of dream that went to harvest from dark, bread for the hungry, bread for the hunger no one sees. All that is eternal in me welcomes the wonders of this day, the field of brightness it creates, offering time for each thing to arise and illuminate. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath, the tent of thought where I shelter, waves of desire I am shore to, and all beauty drawn to the eye. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more.
Thank you, David. May we face the day with that courage. That's awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week, a great month. We'll see you in person next month.
All right. See you then.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.